Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And I hope it has been an inspiring and insightful experience so far. My name is 𝗗𝗶𝘃𝗲𝗿. I am a PhD student at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And as we all know, the fintech industry has grown at an astonishing pace, reshaping the financial landscape in ways that were almost unimaginable 10 years ago. What started as a disruptive force with early stage startups challenging traditional banking has now matured into a central pillar of the financial services sector. And as the sector matures, career paths within fintech are evolving too. So today, we will dive into what it really takes to thrive in this dynamic environment. We'll explore how traditional financial principles remain relevant, how emerging technologies like blockchain are shaping the sector, and what skills are essential for fintech professionals and aspiring fintech professionals like yourselves looking to make an impact. I'm delighted to have next to me 4 shining examples of the diverse opportunities that a career in fintech can offer. Each of our panelists brings a unique perspective shaped by their diverse set of skills and expertise, which range from compliance and financial digitalization to international business and artificial intelligence. They are the perfect representation of how dynamic your career can be under the broad fintech umbrella, and we are lucky to have them with us here today. So everyone just give a round of applause, please. Now, if we could do a quick round of self-introductions, and then we'll get stuck into the questions, starting with you, Alvin.
Thank you, James. Thank you, FSDC, for the invitation. Well, this really holds dear to my heart because, some time ago, some 20 years ago, I was like on your seat and really figuring out what I want to do. So maybe let me give a bit of background of my own career as a start. So I'm born and raised in Hong Kong. I went to US. I was in U Chicago for undergrad, and then kind of take the first year of PhD classes as well. My career, I had 11 and a half years in JP Morgan. I started off actually in Taiwan, doing technology, semiconductor, cybersecurity, kind of equity research. And then I started my second career, which is in entrepreneurship. I started a couple of companies before, One Degree or AIFT, now rebranded as AIFT. So what AIFT really is doing is the cybersecurity and insurance for future market trends, like blockchain, AI, and we do a bit of consumer business as well, like pet insurance, where we have about 90% market share in Hong Kong as well. So just a quick introduction. Thank you.
Hey, hello everyone. This is Carol here. Thank you, FSDC, and also 𝗕𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏 being the organizing this activity. I think it's really meaningful to see a lot of students or graduates like you guys will be interested in knowing a lot more about the fintech and how to foster innovation in Hong Kong. So a little bit introduction of myself. I actually studied in the States as well. I was in Wisconsin medicine, having an accounting major, and back then actually I was a financial auditor, so I feel quite warm when I come back to Deloitte because I'm also ex-Deloitte, Deloitte alumni, and have been working as also a risk consultant back then, getting in touch of a lot of advisory projects with financial institutions on their regulatory developments and also transformation. So I think I have been within the industry for 10 years, working as a financial controller, chief operations officer, and also now as in Ant International, I was the head of business compliance, looking at the international business on global payment and remittance. And then, as you all know, like within Ant International, I think maybe more. Maybe people in Hong Kong would be more aware of one of our products is Alipay Hong Kong, which is the electronic wallet here in Hong Kong, and also 𝗕𝗿𝗃, which is our virtual bank, also doing a lot of collaborations between the wallet as well. You could see while you can save some money within your wallet, at the same time you can also earn interest within the bank. So a lot of initiatives between the wallets and the banks, and also globally we have a lot of EMI products that we are looking after. So yeah, so that's my basic background, and we can share more later on. Thanks.
Thanks, Carol. And also, thank you so much for FSDC King for inviting all of us to be here to share with you guys. Because I'm very happy that we have a lot of students sitting here to listen about the career path, right? The topic here is very interesting. It's finance and technologies. Everybody is asking about FinTech, or someone is asking why not TechFin, right? The application, right? Finance go first or the tech go first? I think what the name of the today topic is a bridge. I think it is very, very important. Like me, Robert, I'm working in Deloitte after my graduation. I'm working in Deloitte. So I think as a professional firm, it's very important to as a bridge how we can, as a professional firm, to put together the consolidated resources together with the tech guys and also put the applications of the technology into the financial market. It is very, very important. Like me, I need to be sharing with my background is that I start my career as an auditor. I focus on the IPO in the capital market and doing some M&A and some restructuring as well. So I think 5 years ago, I believed that tech is very, very important. It's a very crucial factor that for our future development. So I spent some time in the blockchain, in the digital assets, like in Hong Kong, we embrace the FinTech and the innovations. So I think this is very, very important for our, like you sit here, for our futures. Everyone is talking about the tech, but the most important thing is the applications of the technology in the financial market. Banking, securities, insurance, funds, I think everything is very, very, very important. How we can utilize our knowledge and the resources in this area. So I think in the later parts, our speakers can share more with you guys, our applications, and also from the commercial view as a professional firm's views, and then share with you guys. And of course, you can ask us questions during the Q&A sections as well. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Anson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of 𝗲𝗏𝗃. First of all, thank you very much for having me here at FSDC and also Deloitte. And the setting is kind of ring the bell in terms of what we see in the campus, because we only see two gentlemen on the first row. So, but thumbs up to you guys. But yeah, it's good, to be fronting student like you guys. I think first of all is that I think at the end of the day, I treasure the opportunity today. Ask any question that you want. Just don't be shy. I think particularly if you guys are interested in terms of knowing about some of the career path or some of the real thing happening in the market, today just the opportunity just ask questions. A little bit myself. I'm a local breed. I graduated from HKU. Major in quantitative finance. I used to work in HSBC before I co-founded FinTech 8 years ago. FinTech is the leading e-commerce financier in Asia. So a little bit related to you guys, maybe, when you guys shop on Amazon, eBay, Tmall, Douyin, Pinduoduo, some of the merchants is actually getting working capital from us. So it's a little bit related to your day-to-day activity. And a little bit also related to my background is that I set up my own business when I was in the university 15 years ago. So I was one of the first batch of e-commerce seller in Hong Kong, selling on eBay. So I live and breathe e-commerce, and it's also one of the reasons that FinTech very focused on e-commerce and the business opportunity here. Yeah, thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you all so much. Yeah, another round of applause. Brilliant. So the way this is going to run is we're going to start, I think because everyone's very interested here, obviously in FinTech, we're going to start with some industry trends. and then we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the career advice specifically. So, Robert, you've already touched on bridging, and the concept of the bridge. And so, would you like to go into a bit more detail about how FinTech has integrated with traditional financial services? What are some of the key trends and challenges that you see in your day-to-day work?
Okay, thanks, James. I think it is a very interesting question that James asked me first, because it is my home game, right, Deloitte. So I started by sharing with you guys first. I think the most important thing is that Hong Kong, as an IFC, and also we are leading some FinTech innovations at this moment. And you may be aware that there is a lot of policies or initiatives from the governments that support the developments of the FinTech, the applications of the technology in finance in the last few years. For example, is that you can see the Hong Kong MA. The MA has a 2025 roadmap that how they embrace the innovations. It's talking about, you can see that the e-Hong Kong dollar, the CBDC, that is the central bank digital currencies. The project assembly is talking about the tokenizations of the deposits. Everything's of the policy or the roadmap, they are focusing on how we can do more things in the FinTech industries. And for the policy address for this year's, you can see the CE also reinforce that the innovation in the financial industries is very, very important. So based on these criteria and the opportunities, I believe that we will continue to have a lot of resources spending in these areas. Like in 2022 and 2020, we have the just mentioned by our speakers, is that the virtual bank, right? The virtual assets trading platform, say the 𝗙𝗶𝗴𝗵𝗶, the developments in the cyberport, and also the Hong Kong Science Park. We support a lot of different tech industries, how we can apply this one into the finance industries, like maybe someone talking about the RegTech, right? The regulatory technologies is very important as well. This can reduce the cost and how we can enhance the operating efficiencies in the banking industries, and also like the stock exchange. We can see that a lot of the paperless work, and also for the subscriptions of the IPOs. Now we have a lot of some T+2 days, and a lot of the seamless that everything is moving onwards. You can save a lot of time and cost for the upcoming futures for the financial market as well. So I think this is very, very important. I would like to share with you. The second part is that the challenges or some opportunities here is that I think when we are talking about the FinTech, cybersecurity factors are one of the very, very important things that every corporations or companies, they need to spend some time how to think that if there is any leakage of the information and the data, the privacy of the data is very, very important. So I think here is one of the opportunities for you that if you like invest some time on the cybersecurities. I think it is very, very, very hot topic here. And the second one is about the talent shortage. You guys are sitting here, they're learning some, say from the books, from the education, from the website. But for the talent, how we can attract more talent, say the overseas talents from different university students come to Hong Kong, or some students, or even some startups that is based in Europe, Singapore, or Japan. I think we need them to come to Hong Kong, because we can share more our knowledge as we're talking about, say, the Web3 or even the blockchain. I think this is one is global developments, not only in one region, right? For the developments of the Web3, that we can sitting at home and we can do every business and not only focus on Hong Kong or even the Greater Bay Area. We should very, very globally developments of the business. So this is the other ways that I think the talent is very, very important. And also, I would like to share some developments with you. The opportunities is that you can, everyone's talking about the blockchain, the ESG, like this kind of topics. You can also see that for like example from the ESG is that we are talking about the ESG AI and how we can apply the AI to the ESG and the carbon credit trading platform, how we tokenizations of the carbon, the green digital assets as well. So I think my recommendations to you is that you, other than focus on your major, your main studies, you need to spend some time on the hot topic as well. That is related to your future career, that you are interested in this area, like the ESG, right? The hot topic, and outside we have outside the room we have the wealth management, the family office matters, and also FinTech, not only FinTech, like the virtual bank, virtual assets, all these kind of development is also very, very important to your future career path. So maybe in the later stage, I let others to share with you first, and then I come back to discuss more about, as a professional firm, what kind of things we need to do and what Deloitte is doing.
Amazing. Thank you, Robert. So a lot there, I guess. A lot there about innovation, a lot there about how tech is shaping and changing and warping traditional financial services sector. Carol, let's come to you and kind of ask the converse question of what are some of the key principles from the traditional financial sector that remain relevant and valuable to the fast-paced world of FinTech? You know, how can professionals leverage these foundations for success?
Okay, so when it talks about foundation, fundamental knowledge and experience, maybe I can also start off a bit with my career as a financial auditor. So I think I kind of really learned a lot as an auditor. Maybe I can do a little bit of the advertisement for Deloitte as well, because within audit, you will be exposed to a lot of, back in that time I was in the financial services industry, so you will be exposed to a lot of financial institutions audit. Starting from audit planning, you need to understand your client, KYC, and then documenting a whole passage or a lot of understanding of the client's business. And then even during interim period, you will be looking at their financial statements, doing prelim and analysis, if I didn't remember wrong. It's like quite a number of years ago already. So you could see what drives the revenue of the business, what will be the internal controls behind them, what will be the key risk of material misstatements that could be leading to sorts of the financial statements perspective, what will you be looking at, what will be the key risk items, then you can kind of understand the operations of the business. So basically, I think understanding one's business is very important, and when you have the chance to really look at the financial statements, I'm not sure whether you guys are doing investments, have everyone really look at the IPO materials or even the annual statements issued by the listed companies, whether you really understand the business, where the business strategies, their 3 to 5 years plan, what is the company doing globally, all these that could help you build the foundation knowledge on how traditional financial institution work or even a FinTech business work. So I think that's how the knowledge and experience being leveraged across. And for myself, because I work in mainly from a regulatory aspect, so I look a lot at risk governance, corporate governance, and also compliance regulatory matters. And these, again, it's applicable to traditional financial institutions, also applicable to FinTech organizations. So when you look at risk governance, we talk a lot about enterprise risk management. There are a lot of risks. We got a comprehensive risk taxonomy. Anything that you could name it: credit risk, counterparty risk, liquidity risk, operational risk when there is like a disaster or whatever, what is the disaster recovery plan, business contingency plan, your business risk when the company also invests your house money, what's your investment risk for the company itself, so financial risk, etc., etc. So again, from this, you could also kind of understand the dynamics and from a business perspective, what are the risk elements from a corporate governance perspective, how board of directors, senior management, and various committees that they, from the board level, they would delegate the authority of the day-to-day business operations, responsibilities, and also operations to the committees, how it works. And also like the risk appetite framework, the risk appetite statement, etc., etc. So from a risk governance perspective, it's all still applicable. And from a compliance perspective, traditional financial institutions, you guys might know, the regulators would be like Hong Kong MA, HKMA, and then SFC, and also Insurance Authority. These are the three main financial regulators here in Hong Kong. And then for fintech companies, we are also being regulated by these regulators. Like Robert just mentioned about virtual banks. Virtual banks is also regulated by the HKMA. When it comes to dealing in securities, we are also regulated by the SFC. When it talks about VATP, it's also under SFC. So I think there are a lot that share the common attributes, and definitely working within the traditional financial institutions, a lot of foundations could be shared across to fintech organizations as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's still playing the same game as all the other traditional financial institutions. Incredibly interesting. So we've heard how tech is impacting finance and driving forward a lot of into a lot of innovative new places, and we've also heard how the traditional financial sector is still incredibly important to that progress. Anson, I'd like to come to you now, a bit more a negative tone, to talk about the challenges. So in your experience, what are the challenges of merging finance and technology? And how can professionals navigate these obstacles to drive growth and change?
I think in terms of challenges, fintech, I think a lot of time is basically fin first and then tech, after. And there's nothing wrong with that, because whenever you guys joining startups, or you guys were thinking about starting your own things, it's always whether you are solving a real problem first, right? You have to identify your real problem statement. Forget about everything else. So is that really a real problem that you're solving? Just don't have wrong fantasy. So if you are solving a real problem, then you could have a real business model. So that means that you could have a real commercialization of your idea. So it's nothing wrong that fin go first, but then I think a lot of fintech company come into a realization that tech come too late in terms of scalability. So a lot of things, I think about startup in general and fintech in particular, is that we have to think about scalability. Scalability is plain opposite of whether you have tailor-made solutions. So for example, right, within FinTech, in the past couple of years, we have huge debate internally. Are we solving for short-term growth need, or are we planning for long-term scalability? And the fact is, if you are looking for long-term growth, you definitely have to uphold the standardization of your products, so that it will help you with the scalability. Meaning, sometimes that means you have to sacrifice short-term KPI. But then what in exchange that you drive the entire company, the entire team, that they have to build the product that they are proud of, so that particular product could be scalable. So for example, within FinTech, we're talking about SMEs. Our target audience is SMEs, like digital SMEs. We're talking about merchants that getting finance like 幾萬蚊美金, 50K US, maybe $250,000 US, this kind of size, $1 million US, this kind of size. But this year alone, like for the first 10 months, we distribute $1.5 billion US as a loan, right? So we're talking about the system itself, the project itself have to be scalable. It have to be, the whole team have to understand from an infrastructure perspective, business model perspective, product development perspective. The North Star is really focusing on the vast majority of your TA And this take courage, this take the prioritization of everything else. So that is, I think, is a real challenge, particularly for a startup and also a scale up. This applies not only to FinTech, but I think it's for startup and scale in general. But then in FinTech particularly, I think what we see the challenge is also juggling around your product innovation, time to market, at the same time how you work with different stakeholders. So I think Alvin or maybe Carol, you guys are coming from FinTech organization point of view. I think a lot of time is like making a balanced approach, and it's always difficult to find that particular fine point, how to balance, right? So it's always A/B testing, always making small mistake, but then whenever you make mistake, just make sure that you fall forward and don't repeat the mistake, and I think it will be fine.
Thank you, Anson. Incredibly insightful. Moving on to Alvin. Speaking about blockchain technology, what role does blockchain technology play in reshaping financial transactions, transparency and security within the FinTech ecosystem, and how are professionals leveraging this innovation?
It's a very deep question. I think this blockchain and AR really are forming what we call as Web3. I bet most of you have heard of Web3 before. So it's the third generation of internet, put it this way, right? So now when you look at the global payment system, for example, SWIFT really is a classical Web1 system. So to quantify for that, SWIFT right now can do 500 transactions per second globally. Okay, and guess what? I think now we are entering November. It's going to be November 11th next week. Okay, guess how many transactions are we talking about in a second? Way, way more than that, right? So now when it comes to blockchain, just Ethereum by itself, it can cater 70,000 transactions per second, right? So we're talking about 150 times more. And I'm sure this number is going to continue to go up. So I think this is addressing the scalability issue that Anson just elegantly brought up, which is extremely important. Now, cost is another extremely important factor as well. Okay, SWIFT, each transaction is going to cost 15 to 20 US dollar. Now, Ethereum can now, the layer 2 technology can really do the cost per transaction in terms of remittance and stuff like that is 5 cents US dollar, right? So we're talking about 1,000 times cheaper. So this is how much that we're talking about. So I think on that basis, I would even categorize blockchain as something that is replacing the outdated central bank system. This is how far that I will put it this way. Which is why now when you look at all the global central banks in the world, like, I mean, we are talking about Ambridge in Hong Kong, Thailand, UAE, and different places, and stuff like that. So I think this becomes something extremely important and relevant topic. Looking at some of the early movers, for example, Tether, USDT, the profits that USDT or Tether is generating is similar to Goldman Sachs globally as a firm, right? So this is how big that we're talking about. Okay, so this is just on the blockchain side of the Web3. Now, I must say that the AI, the LLM part that you just asked, is an even way bigger topic. I think everyone here must get the full grasp of it in order to be relevant for the next era. So why did I make that statement? I think I just come back from Riyadh last week, FYI. So and I was going with about 300 CEOs from Hong Kong. So pretty much half of the financial industry CEOs in Hong Kong, HSBC, JP Morgan, UBS, Hang Seng Bank, you name it, basically all there. And one key topic obviously is going to be on AI, right? Now AI is improving at the pace of 10 times per annum. And pretty much in 2 years' time, we're going to get to AGI. Okay, remember these terms, AGI and ASI. Okay, so AGI means like the AI is going to be as intelligent as a human being. But what's next coming up is ASI, is artificial super intelligence. So this, we are talking about the intelligence level that is about 10,000 times of what a human being is like. I mean, if you are improving 10 times per annum, like, I mean, you're gonna get there in some 4 or 5 years. Well, I think it's gonna take a little longer than that, but still, I mean, this is something that really is gonna change the world, it's gonna change every single profession, it's gonna change the way that we interact and what are the skill sets, what are the importance of the different attributes going into a career. I think that is something even a lot more transformative. So I think the rate of change of technology that we are seeing at the moment is really something that is unseen in the past. And this is an extremely exciting era because I think like for people who can pick up the new skills really fast, I think you guys are gonna be kicking ass in the career field.
Oh, amazing. Can I actually just ask a really quick follow-up question from personal interest as much as anything else? Everyone's quite aware, I think, you know, everyone knows about how steep the curve is on AI, you know, we can feel it. When it comes to blockchain technology and banking, and you know, you just said there, you know, it might replace, you know, it might be a new model for banking. How steep is the curve, do you think, and what in the next kind of maybe 12 months, 10 months, you know, 2 years, 3 years, what are going to be the things people are going to feel? What's the differences? What are going to become the major progress that we're going to feel?
Well, I think as a start, this is already here. I mean, the blockchain, it has already completely hit the product market fit. It has been around for 10 years. So now if you look at, for example, like some people are talking about the dollarization. Honestly, I have to say it is not RMB. It is actually Bitcoin, right? Because a lot of people in let's say Latin America and in Turkey, in some part of Europe, in Africa, a lot of people are actually using Bitcoin for everyday use, right? So I think after the printing money, that a lot of governments have been printing money for so many years, ever since the Lehman Brothers incident. I think a lot of the people really trust a much more transparent system. Okay, there's a limited supply in the M2, in the money supply, and this is something that will matter. So for that reason, like now I think a number of the speakers have been bringing up stablecoin, right? Virtual asset trading platform, VATP, all those stuff, they are already here.
Thank you. Incredibly interesting. Moving away, and I know that's going to be difficult because it has been so interesting to hear all of your thoughts on the industry. Moving away from the industry now towards careers specifically, the kind of subject of this whole day really. I'd like to ask Carol first, as a regulatory and compliance expert. How important, you know, we might have some budding entrepreneurs in the audience looking to get started in FinTech. How important is regulatory expertise and compliance knowledge to FinTech? And what strategies can everyone here kind of take forward and employ to ensure adhering to all the relevant financial regulations?
Okay. We act for the best interest of the company. At the same time, we try to comply with the regulatory requirements. But that doesn't necessarily mean that regulations will hinder business growth. So I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to go to the Hong Kong FinTech Week, which just organized like 2 weeks ago. We got that organized this year at the Asia Expo. So a lot of regulators have been doing some sharing sessions within Hong Kong FinTech Week as well, is to also talking about the 2025 roadmap issued by the HKMA. A lot of projects that are mentioned by various speakers here. There are a lot of initiatives actually pushed by the government currently, and it's more about like a collaboration between the industry and the regulator together to see how things work, because all these are new. And new to the industry, new to the world. And regulators would also try to understand what's the business behind, what's the operations, what's the infrastructure, how they can help regulate it, so as to provide trust, credit worthiness and also at the same time to protect customers' interest. So I think somehow I think regulations is also trying to help business growth in a very healthy manner within Hong Kong as well. And a number of projects being named. I think the HKMA has been working really well. For 𝗖𝗿𝗃𝗲𝗿𝗀 pilot, they launched last year. This year, they are already doing a phase 2 session. And then for the wholesale CBDC that Alvin just mentioned, we are also working together with HKMA on Project Ensemble as well to look at how blockchain technology could facilitate cross-border funds transfer to make sure, like currently, while you do remittance through banks, that could take you days because there are a lot of transfers between correspondent banks that could take time. But then through blockchain technology, you have data, information, real time being uploaded to blockchain at the moment. You can share across with the liquidity center behind. Actually, you can do a 24/7 settlement. And say, for example, 𝗙𝗶𝗃𝗃𝗲𝗏 Hong Kong. It's not advertisement, but just to let you guys know, we are already using the blockchain technology for the remittance from Hong Kong to Philippines, and we are trying to open up more corridors. Back behind, you might not know, but at the same time, while you are using the remittance function, we are already using the blockchain technology. And all these initiatives without regulatory support, it won't happen. So. I think that's how I see it as the regulatory bit is also kind of important for us at the same time for the fintech growth. And the other bits is that currently I'm also working on transformation project. So a lot of RegTech development that the company is trying to build. I think another thing, say for example, virtual bank, you won't be seeing a branch like HSBC having a lot of branches that you need to have a face-to-face meeting or interview with the relationship manager in order to open a bank account. But then here within virtual bank, we will use eKYC. So the technology behind facial recognition, liveness detection, OCR for capturing all the information on your ID, etc., etc. So all these type of RegTech development would also help, like the effectiveness, growing the business effectiveness operations as well. Yeah.
Thank you. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Don't be scared, they're not out to get you. It's crucial and critical for innovation. Amazing. So actually moving on to Anson, talking about hiring, what you look for. What kind of attributes in a candidate do you look for when you interview for roles? So new joiners, particularly someone maybe fresher in their career. So someone, not maybe someone in the C-suite, someone who's working with you and the executive team, but somebody who's new. What do you look for? What attributes?
Yeah, thanks, James. I think this question is very relevant to you guys because very soon I think you guys looking for opportunity, career opportunity very soon, right? So we grow from 3 people to right now 110 people, and then we have 3 offices: Hong Kong and China, Shannon, Shenzhen, Chengdu. So the way that I look at, what we call ourselves fund parker, right? So what we look at, the most important attribute of fund parker is the ownership. So the attribute, I'll be honest with you, if I may come to interview, fresh graduate, right? Do I care? I shouldn't say this, but I just want to be transparent here. Do I care about your GPA? I don't, right? Do I care a lot about your the program that you study? Well, technical stuff, of course. We have data scientists. We have a reasonable size, fairly large IT team ourselves. Product team, etc. There are some attribute that from a technical perspective that it's like the minimum of the threshold there for the interview. But I think the key thing is, can I sense that you have a strong ownership in your personality? So I think this is a little bit different from what you imagine or what I can look at, at your CV or what kind of extra curriculum that you guys having, what kind of income that you're having, but how you demonstrate you are actually a person that you like ownership. You demonstrate ownership. So what do I mean by ownership? So whatever you do, you own. In Chinese, right? Sorry, maybe do it in Cantonese. 生養死葬你係負責晒嘅. So sorry, I'll be very candid with you because I really treasure this kind of opportunity because you guys are looking for a job very soon. I want to be very transparent and candid with you guys. 生養死葬 meaning that, you know, if you are assigned a task, do you own the task as is it your son or your daughter? Like, if you see something wrong, if you see a track in front of you, but that is not something that you are in your vertical, but because it is within your task, it's ownership, you will voice out. You don't care how people look at you. You don't care. You don't afraid of how your boss look at you. You don't afraid of like working extra miles. You are not afraid of speaking, voicing out, etc. It is how you demonstrate, I own this, and I be accountable for the success and failure of this. So if you can demonstrate this, it would be extremely impressive when you go interview. So, so I think a lot of, you know, hiring manager, employer, when we look at you know, colleagues, right, it is very important for organization that everyone are strong advocate of ownership of not only just the task, but the ownership of the success of the company. So yeah, so I'm going back to that, I think it is very important as a fresh graduate, without talking too much about technical. I think this kind of like personal characteristic or personality is very important in the eyes of employers. And you know, one more tip that I personally think that, you know, it would be great that you guys have some experience, working experience, before you guys, you know, founding a company, if you guys want to be an entrepreneur at the end of the day. Obviously, I mean, I'm not trying to do like recruitment talk here for fun part, but it's always good to accumulate some working experience, because I think when you work, you look for, you know, mentor. You look for how, you know, you look for work ethics. You look for how to work as a team. You look for how to own a task. You look for how to tackle achieve milestone by milestone, and you build your personal relationship with people around you. You're building your personal credibility, and you genuinely identify problem statement yourself while you work. A lot of people, I mean, some of the people I see around me, that they jump into entrepreneurship or founding the company right after graduate, it would easily fall into the trap that, you know, you find a problem that is not large enough, or it is not something that actually exists in the market. So my personal advice is, you can do whatever you want in the university. You want to start your own business, new project, do it while you are studying, because it would be extremely interesting, okay? But then it would be great, you know, to accumulate some working experience if you guys want to start something yourself, okay, at the end of the day. Yeah, this is my little tips.
Amazing. I was actually just kind of wondering, I think it might be really useful for the audience as well, if you have any examples in an interview situation specifically where you can think of that, you know, someone's answering a question, the way they answer it or how they answer it, that really demonstrates that ownership that you've talked about. Is there like an example you can think of that maybe really kind of sticks out to you or demonstrates that kind of trait?
I always look at supporting statements. I mean, to be honest, right, as a hiring manager or employee, it's very difficult to judge a person in a 1 hour interview. So for my employee hire, I typically go through 3-4 rounds, and the last round is, you know, to have a happy hour or dinner with me, so that I can get to know, I get to understand, you know, with 2-3 hours, like what kind of person he or she is. But I think, you know, even, you know, within 1 hour, I think it is important to really to to ask. I personally would actually ask the candidates to really to give me example. Whatever example they give me, I will go into detail in terms of how he, for example, like how he define milestone, how he define whether the project is success, or the project he did or she did is successful or not. But by having a definitions of success or failure, you know how a person work in terms of in his or her brain, and how he break down the task, how the milestone is being defined, and example that when things go wrong, how he react to the consequences, the things go wrong. So if he demonstrate accountability is coming from himself or herself, then you kind of sense that this kind of person that have a stronger ownership than the pointing fingers on the system, on the company. And by the way, I don't like candidate that badmouthed his her previous employer, because it's so easy to do that. But then if the interview is always is more focused on what you did, what you learned, what you can do better, it's easier for the employer to understand or appreciate what kind of person he or she is.
Thank you. It's incredibly enlightening and vivid of examples there. Alvin.
Hi, James. May I just
of course.
add
Yeah,
one
please,
more point?
Please.
So because I like it very much for an example is that I just did an interview last Tuesday. He said, I think the example here is very, very important, because every candidate we just mentioned about his strength. I think a lot of the strength is quite more like it's similar. So I think your example, you need to think 2 examples, 3 examples, or even 4 examples. When you state some examples, I think it's very important is that you can, through this example, how you can show your strength, not only in one area. And sometimes you should be using this time to demonstrate that you're a guy that would like to take initiative to do some things, and always one step ahead to think how to solve the problems, to let the interviewer know that your character through this example, because you only have 1 hour. Sometimes even maybe you can just mention some things, and then you believe that the interviewer must have these follow-up questions for you to answer. Then the interviewer will feel very happy, because when they ask you questions, you can give him some response. I think this is also very important. So when you plan about your interview, you need to plan some example and think that what kind of follow-up questions that the interviewer will ask you.
That's really, really brilliant. Thank you. Alvin, I think we've touched on a lot here. And I think one of the main things that's come out is how broad, how diverse FinTech can be. And it might leave people thinking, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to learn? How can I learn all these different disparate skill sets? So how can professionals in FinTech balance the need for technical expertise with a customer-centric approach to innovation, ensuring that financial solutions are not only technologically advanced, but also user-friendly and accessible to diverse audiences?
Well, I think first off, it needs to be something that creates value, right? I think it's product market fit is not a nice to have, it's a must have product. I think that's something that is extremely important. I think that's first off. Second of all, I think there are so many new changes coming up with technology that I just mentioned about blockchain, Web3, AI, and stuff like this. Now, a lot of people may think, hey, is AI going to replace me? I think that's what a lot of people would be thinking. But in my view, where it comes to changes, it brings so much opportunity. That's what we see from time to time, right? So to give you specific examples in what are the opportunities that we see at AIFT, right? So couple of examples. One example is in blockchain world. Now in banking world, there is deposit protection scheme that usually is what the central bank have been doing, right? Now, in blockchain world, you hear so many different adverse events, the attacks, the frauds, FTS, and so on and so forth. Now, consumer protection is extremely important. Like after the FTS events, every regulator has been looking at how to regulate on the Web3 side. So protecting consumer interest is so important. To give you some example, like year to date, there has been about $2 billion losses of consumer funds because of hacking events, cybersecurity events. So then, like when we look at this issue back in some 5 years ago, what we identify is this is an extremely huge opportunity for the private sector to take a role in and almost coming up with a deposit protection scheme for blockchain world. Okay. Now, when it first gets started, it's an extremely difficult task, extremely tall task because how are we going to do the pricing, how are we going to do the cybersecurity work and all those stuff. But after, so initially we start small. Initially we start off with insuring people for up to 5 million per customer, which is not much, quite frankly, when it comes to the blockchain world. And up to now, we can now do $2 billion per client. Okay, then it starts to become something that is substantially more meaningful. And with this, in the blockchain side now, we got about blockchain, cybersecurity, and insurance. We got about 70 to 80% market share in Asia and about 30-40% market share in Middle East. Okay, so that is an example in how we crack on that. But of course, in order to make this work, we start off with academic research. Okay, so this is what you guys have been doing on paper. So in fact, I mean, we have a couple of people who just graduate from graduate school and we're working on the paper itself. We really map out the risk taxonomy on the blockchain. So it's a very academic work as a start because you really need to work out of the first principle, right? So now, just give you an example on the blockchain side. Now, give you another one that is coming up is on the AI side, right? Now, every few years, there is going to be a new attack surface coming up. So starting from internet to mobile internet to, well, starting from physical actually, right? So people are robbing the banks back in the past. Now, even last year, there were more than 200 bank robberies in the US, right? Then going to digital, then going to, well, banks, I think digital bank, people are trying to have phishing email, all those stuff. I think there's latest statistics that 96% of the companies in Hong Kong have got phishing attacks. I'm sure this number should not be 96%. It must be 99.9%, right? Okay, then going to blockchain that I just talked about. Now the next thing coming up is AI, right? AI, why there's going to be a lot of attacks coming up. Two areas to think about. So like what the foundation model, okay, that's OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Alibaba, the French company, and Anthropic, and so on and so forth, what they really teach is a university student. For that university student to do any work, it has to go through the company training, okay, right? So this is what it should look like. Now, in the AI world, what this term really is co-pilot. Okay, so you have to plug in the company data, the customer data, employee data, pricing data, product data, policy and procedure into the AI in order for it to be successful, useful, right? But now here we're talking about exposing a lot of confidential information. That's number one. Number two, remember now we are going from precision AI era to generative AI era. What generative AI means is that it's interactive. Okay, you come with something, I can get back to you with something, right? And in that interactive process, there are a lot of ways to really hack the system and jailbreak the system, or even get them to compromise customer data, privacy data, and stuff like that. Now, Carol was talking about the different regulation, the different regulator, and this is something that is really moving very, very quickly. So, for example, in EU, there's this EU AI Act going on. So, previously in the Web 1, Web 2 world, in the GDPR era, like if you compromise customer data and you don't act on it fast enough, they can penalize you for up to 2% of the annual revenue. Okay, which pretty much wipe out all your profit. Now, when it comes to generative AI, the EU AI Act can penalize a company up to 7% of their annual revenue. I mean, basically, I think the company is gone, right? So this becomes something that is extremely important. I think just last week, Hong Kong come up with the AI policy statement, exactly also talking about the 4 different principles: the privacy, well, the security, importance, transparency. It has to really make sure that the bias is overcome and stuff like that. So there's so much value that we can add on it. Now, why do I bring this topic up so much, and why is Hong Kong relevant in this game? Because Hong Kong is really, really strong in risk management all over the years. Because anything that is talking about, well, because it has been connecting the East and West, so anything on the West side, anything on China, anything that you know, SARS, COVID, whatever, the financial crisis, Lehman Brothers crisis, and so on, the Asian financial crisis, everything is related to Hong Kong, right? So for that reason, we have the DNA to innovate something that address all those risks that we're talking about. So and this is something that I feel that like I think for the floor here, there's massive opportunity, and there's something that well, other people have not figured out a solution, and it's something that is a really good problem to solve.
Thank you. I would just quickly now, because we are running low on time, I would love to open it up to the floor and give you guys a chance to ask a distinguished panel any questions on some of the incredibly insightful comments that you've heard today. Yeah?
Hi, I'm Martin from CTU, and thanks for your sharings. I would like to ask about what Alvin said about accumulate work experience. So I think it's very important for founders or people have the mindset to build up a startup. But in particularly, which role do you think like the job will beneficial? A person, for example, me, I want to build up my own startup in 5 years. Which kind of role do you think is best? Or you think the role actually doesn't matter? The more important part is about the industry. Because I've interned into like startups in the past 2 summers, and I find out if I want to like work in the startup teams, it's very different from a corporate life. And in order to get into a very good, prestigious corporation, I need to put a lot of effort. So it's hard to balance, like, where should I put my effort into? Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, what's your name? Martin. Yeah. Can we give Martin a round of applause? Always encourage questions, right? Taking the first question is not easy, okay. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, maybe Alvin can share as well, because he's also founder himself. The way I look at it is the role, to me, the role is not that important. Okay, first of all, you do backward deductions, all right? But then, you know, but the life doesn't always go as planned, but at least you have something to start with. You look at, you know, what exactly you want to do. Like, for example, like 5 years from now, then you backward deduction. You want to do like e-commerce, you want to do something related to AI, you want to do something related to Web3, but then, you know, you probably have to start something, you know, very relevant from an industry point of view. But then it's okay that, you know, you change your mind, you know, during the course of your career, and then, you know, the market also changed, right? So your problem statement already probably would be solved by some other, you know, new joiner, etc. And that is okay. Life goes on. But then I think, you know, the role is less important, because remember I said like ownership. So if I join as operation, all right, just, you know, someone in the operation team. If you are curious enough, or, you know, if you are assigned a project that, you know, is actually you know, a project that involves like, multiple party in the company, that as long as you have a strong ownership, sense of ownership, and then you are curious enough, you actually can always like go extra mile. And don't worry, people can see that. It's just whether they talk about it. It's a good company. If a good company with a good culture, that, you know, they will appreciate that. So I would care less about the starting position as what role that you will be, but then I think I would care much more that what you learn, from people around you and what extra mile you actually would walk in that particular company. But then in general, backward deduction, I think industry is more important than like particular company name. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks, Anson. By the way, I really agree with what Anson just said about that. It adds tremendous value for you to really start at some workplace. Okay, and over time, of course, follow your dream, follow your passion, but you really can shortcut a lot of, or put it this way, learn a lot more about yourself and working with a company, right? So now in terms of what industry and what role, I think two things. One, on the industry side, play to your strength, right? What is something that you really, really are passionate about? Because doing a startup is, well, you're dealing with all the different type of problems every day. You have to be passionate enough, okay, in order to really figure that out, right? So I won't necessarily say what industry. I think that is a very personal question. It really is down to you what are things that you feel deeply about. That's number one. In terms of what type of role, if you want to be a founder one day, what I really suggest you to do is to find an aspiring founder or CEO who you really want to shadow with. I think that's something really important. Now, I was quite fortunate at the time I was in JP Morgan. Well, I think partly fortunate, partly is I kind of do it by myself, quite frankly with you. So I was pretty much the two persons that I've been following everything that they say overnight. One person is Jamie Dimon. That's the JP Morgan Global CEO. Another one is Kwock from Liverpool. Okay, every single thing that he says overnight, I read and watch every single clip of that, right? And so I did have an opportunity to have a working lunch with Jamie Dimon. I was in JP Morgan at the time, and then I really pick up stuff that he's doing in terms of leadership, inspiring people, and stuff like this. So this is the type of stuff that we want to do. But of course, back then, I think there's still something that I do out of YouTube, I do out of the media report, and stuff like that. Now, if you really work in a startup environment with an inspiring leader, you can see the person in action every single day. Okay, that makes a massive difference, right? So I think this is how I look at it. Like, I don't know if I answer your question or not on this.
One more point that I would like to have some share with you, just talking about the startup and the entrepreneurs, is that, as you know, I'm involved in a lot of the IPOs, and I have a lot of experience to meet the shareholders, the boards, how the boards can make the company being listed in Hong Kong through the startups. I think the most important things that I learned from them is that at the beginnings, they always don't think how to earn the money, how to make profits. The first things they're talking about is that how to protect their deposit. They focus on the risk. I think from my experience is that for those who can success, or for those who can make a lot of profit, is that they always think about the risk, how they can manage the risk. They are willing to take some risk, but they're always talking about how they can manage the risk and protect their deposit. I think this is very, very important for the startup, for you to make sure that you think this point.
Oh, amazing. Thank you all. I think that was such a good question. We might have eaten up a significant amount of our question time. How are we doing for time? We are over.
Maybe you can ask the last question.
Yeah, okay, let's get another one in. How we get someone right up the back there?
Hello, thank you so much for your time. My name is Gwen. I'm an international student here in Hong Kong. I'm originally from Indonesia. And my question is more towards a recent trend that is happening, which is Trump winning the US election and how it impacted crypto and Bitcoin. And my question is about how do you think in the long term Bitcoin or cryptocurrency will perform? Will it be a bubble or will it be keep going in the future? Yes. Thank you.
So maybe I go first, because I also focus on a lot of the digital assets. I think the most important things here is that when we're talking about the virtual assets or the digital assets, to me, I will not focus on the speculations. We will not only focus on that. This is I think it is a tool that how we use it in the long run, the applications to the Web3 or even in the capital market. This is very, very important for the tokenizations. I think this is how we can sustainable for the growth. I think this is one thing that we need to bear in mind as a professional firm. And the second thing is that I think at this moment, a comprehensive and the regulatory framework, how we can establish this framework is very crucial at this moment. Like in different jurisdictions, we now have different frameworks or the regulators issue a lot of rules for the stakeholders to follow. I think in these 2 to 3 years, we should have some conversions, or we can say that US, Europe, or Hong Kong, the leading jurisdictions, they may have some discussions on how we can make it together. I think in long run, of course, we're talking about the audit side, any auditing standards or the compliance side for these firms to follow. Of course, we should have some framework here for the regulatory framework here. Otherwise, the industries cannot be growth healthy. So I think we didn't have enough time, so I think I'll let Alvin to share a little bit.
Well, I think there are a couple of frameworks we can think about here, right? I think the first framework is what is the addressable population? Okay, so everything, when it comes to price or stuff, it always starts from demand and supply, right? Supply is fixed, so that's the good part. Now, the demand side of things, now what I was talking about is that most of the use has been in developing market so far. Okay, China has blocked it, but Hong Kong, Dubai, Singapore and stuff like that, I think there's still some of the areas, but it has been really missing 2 major markets so far, which is China and US. Okay, US, Bitcoin, it has so far been ruled by the Department of Justice. Okay, all those litigation going on and stuff like that, they try to scare people off. And well, so far, based on the narrative that Trump has been talking about in the election, I think he is going to be embracing crypto or Bitcoin or digital asset. And so on that basis, I think that would unlock a pretty large population, right? So I think that's something that clearly is something good. But having said that, I think there are 2 areas that you also have to watch out for. One is look for the cycle. So, I mean, every 4 years, there's going to be a cycle. I think economic cycle usually is every 8 to 10 years. But when it comes to crypto, Bitcoin, it's every 4 years there's a cycle. So we have been in a bull run for about 2.5 years, right? So, I mean, that's something that you have to watch for. Another area, of course, is ultimately, one thing that I always track is the talent. Okay, so for example, when you look at the number of engineers in the blockchain space, you know what? This year is down by 20%. Where have they gone to? AI. Okay, well, is this because the US in the Biden administration, it has been ruled by the Department of Justice, nobody even dared to work in the blockchain industry, or is it that the trend has moved to AI? I think it's something only time can tell, but I think those are pretty much what I see as forward-looking indicator on where the industry, where the rate of innovation is going to look like down the road.
Amazing. We've got just one really quickly, if we can have like a 1-minute answer to this from the person over here, if that's okay.
I'll just speak up.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for your insights. My name is Max. I'm from HKUST. So since the rapid advancement of technology, how do you deal with change management, whether that be organizational change, retraining people, or adapting to new compliance requirements? Thank you.
Yeah, so just now I have been talking about some RegTech tools that we are building in-house as well. One of it will be about horizon scanning. Like there is an artificial act that Alvin just mentioned. this is something that we try to build in-house through a solution that we can track all the regulatory updates and things like through interface with all the regulator press release or publications and or even consultant or law firm advices. And then we can, in-house, we can perform assessment. And most importantly is the impact to our business. And that's why I have been saying that we have to understand our business. And from a regulatory perspective, we always study laws and regulations just to make sure that anything that we have, the processes and controls, the plans that we have to mitigate the risk commensurate with all the business growth. So in-house, we have this RegTech 2 adoption. At the same time, then we will train all the rest of the like the company employees and see how things could work. Just let everyone know the impact analysis. We will set up task force with relevant functional unit owners to kind of have all the actions and tasks assigned for everyone, and then just work on it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for your candor. I think it's so easy to come to these things and have people say, follow your heart, follow your nose, and I think it's been really great to hear some really honest, really insightful comments. So if everyone could please join me in thanking our esteemed panel. And if you would like to make your way outside into the atrium, we've got another set of networking drinks. All right, thank you so much.